Mishnah, Ayin Aleph, 71. Nadra v'hi arusa. A Nara makes a neder, and she's an arusa. A man gave her kiddushin. Nizgar shabo bayom. And she got a divorce on that day that she made a neder. And then Nizar shabo bayom, she got another man gave her kiddushin. She's a popular woman. Afilu l'meya. Let's say the second one gave her a divorce on the same day. Afilu meya. And this repeats itself 100 times. So, avia ubayla achron mefir nederah. Whoever the last husband is, who's standing, right, last man standing, with the father, they're the ones who can annul her nedarim. Ze haklal. Kol shelo yotzer l'shatzma sha'achas. If no one actually made nesuin with her, because remember, with kiddushin, she still really is beveis avia. She's still really in her father's house until actually somebody brings her to the chuppah.
This is only the case of Nara, right? Not Bogeres.
This is a case of a Nara.
Yeah. Okay.
Once she's a Bogeres Maria, the father loses the right.
Yes, that's what I...
Made for the Nidar. That means, let's say there is no husband in the picture, and she becomes 12 and a half. That's it. She makes Nidarim, and nobody can annul her Nidarim at that point. The act of physically maturing and reaching 12 and a half, he loses the right. He only has the right as a Nara.
Okay.
The difference is, as a Nara, he shares the right with a husband who gave her Kiddushin, if there's Kiddushin in the picture. The father and the last husband that's standing are the ones that are made for her Nidarim. So the Gemara wants to know, the Arus Achron made for Nidarim Shanir L'Aras Rishon. How do we know that the last husband can annul Nidarim that the woman made with husband number one? Amar Shmuel, Amar Kra, V'mayosi Eli'ish, Undare Aleh. She was given Kiddushin, and there are Nidarim, implying Nidarim Shahayu Klar Allah. She comes into the Kiddushin with Nidarim that she made with other husbands. So the Gemara doesn't accept. Dil Mahani Mili Shlo Nir Laras Rishon. Maybe we're referring to Nidarim that wasn't seen by prior husbands. Avon Nidarim Shnir Laras Rishon L'matzimei for Aras Achron. Who says that the last husband gets to annul Nidarim that were made in front of husband number one? Maybe he can. So the Gemara answers, Aleha. It says, Undarea Aleha, Kro Yiserahu. It's not needed. So the Chidush is that the last husband can annul Nidarim that were made even by the first husband. Tanya Kavasa de Shmuel. There's a Baraisa that is going to teach us exactly like Shmuel taught us. Nara Mayrasa, Avia Ubaila Mefina Daria, a girl with between 12 and 12 and 12 and a half that was given Kiddushin. The father and the husband share the ability to annul the Nidarim. Ketzad, Shama Avia Vehefer La. The father heard Nidarim and annulled it. And the Baal had not heard the Nidarim and died. But V'nisar Sarbo Bayom, another man gave her Kiddush on the same day. So the neder is not annulled until the last husband has his say. Aviu Baila Achron Lefir Nidareh. Shoma Baila V'Hefer La. On the other hand, if husband number one or number two or whatever number husband heard and annulled her Nidarim, and the father had not heard anything yet, and then the husband died. We learned this before. That rishus does get thrown to the Baal, to the father, and he can step in the place of the husband. On Rav Nosson Heinein Divrei Beis Shammai, right? That was the machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, because Beis Shammai hold it's nigzes gayas. It's like cut. It doesn't weaken the neder, the whole neder. It just the Baal cuts his out, and the husband cuts his out. So if it falls to the husband, it's a full thing that falls to him, and he can cut it. Aval Beis Hillel ein yochel lahafer. Right? Beis Hillel said no. In that situation, the father cannot. What's the machlokes? But my plea. Beis Shammai sabrim nedarim nami sheroi lo arus nisroik nereshus la'av. The nedarim that were presented to the husband is thrown back to the av because meg is gayas. When the husband or either of them are mefer, they actually cut each one cuts their own. And therefore the av gets to be made for the chelik of the arus who died, who gets thrown to him. Beis Hillel Savi, no, it's not megas gayas. Beis Hillel Savi by lachol mefirin nedarim v'lo megas gayas. It's kolish klisha. It weaken the neder. And when the neder of the arus comes to the father, he can't be mevatel his chelik of it, because the whole thing always has to be done in partnership, because each one of them are too weak to remove the neder completely. Okay, Iboilu. Another question. Gerishin keshtikadami o kakamedami. A man gives the woman kiddushin, tamaranara, and she makes a neder, and then he divorces her. So is it like he's quiet, and therefore we don't know what he wants? Does he want to be made for it? Does he want to be Mekayim it? Or is it viewed ka'akomadamya? Is it viewed as memela that he was Mekayim it? Now, l'may nafkamina. How would the halacha be affected? We're talking about a case where the woman made a neder, the husband heard it, and then he divorced her. And and then a husband's allowed to remarry his divorcee as long as there's been no intervening marriage. He took her back the same day. If the original divorce was if he was just silent, so there's a continuation. Matzi mefer law. He didn't make a decision yet. The fact that he divorced her, we don't attribute not hakama and not hafara to that act of gerushin. It's as if he was silent. Now he picked up the baton again and he's remarried her. He has 24 hours to either mefer or if he doesn't do anything for 24 hours, it's an obvious kiyum. But he would have the right to be made for it. But the Omar Marka Komadami, if he divorced her, and by divorcing her without saying anything else, and even though he had heard the neder, obviously it looks more like a kiyum. In fact, that's why he divorced her. He didn't want to live with the woman who made a neder. And therefore, if he now takes her back, lo matzi mefer lo, he loses the right to be made for it, because once a husband is mekayim in neder, you can't annul it. What do you have to do? You have to go to a chacham and undo it, but that's not annulment. The special right of a husband is only a 24-hour right, that if there's a neder hanging there, he has the ability to just annul it. Mufrlach goes away. Right? But if he doesn't have the right to be made for it, which is the case we're trying to describe, we don't know what gerushin will do. Does he still have the right to annul it? Or maybe when he marries her again the same day, he doesn't have the right to annul it because he's already mekayim it. Let's learn the halacha in the Rambam and the Yordeya. Shoma Aras V'Lohefer Lo V'Girsha. A man gave a Nara Kiddushin, and she made a neder, and he didn't annul it. He divorced her. Well, number one, Ein ha'av yachol lahafer lo. The father does not have the right to annul, because Gerushin is more like Nesuin, right? Once the woman is out of the house completely, like you took her to chuppah, or you divorced her. Divorce is like Nesuin. So number one, the father loses his right completely. And then, if after divorcing her on the same day, he gave her kiddushin again, ein orus sheni, whether it's him or or another person, yachol lahafer lo. He cannot annul the neder. Because the Gemara didn't really, it remained in a suffix. So since by suffix deraisa laws we go lechumra, we treat it lechumra. Because we didn't learn it yet today, but on Ayin Beis, the Gemara is going to go give us proofs one way or the other, what does Gerushin do? Is it like Shasika or not? And the Gemara is going to leave it as a shaila. But God willing, we'll learn that on Sunday night. That's going to be our next session. We're not learning Saturday night because we'll be in the air, God willing. And we'll learn again Sunday night. Hopefully I'll be awake. It won't be jet lag.
Yeah. Okay, you let us know what time you want.
I'll let you know. It'll be 8 o'clock. Normally 8 o'clock Sunday night.
Safe travel.
Good
Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Good Shabbos,
Safe
everybody.
flight.
Thank you.
Safe flight.
Thank you.